spring intel that we want to hear from Auburn Live, the Auburn on 3 site. When you go check out the message board over there, what are you hoping you're hearing from spring practice? We'll unpack it right now, but first thing first, make sure you are subscribed. A lot of Auburn fans have gotten dialed in here. We appreciate you for that. If you haven't yet subscribed, we're not just going to talk about the spring intel we hope to hear. We'll talk about the spring intel we're actually hearing on the Plains. So get locked in over here, and we'll talk about your Tigers here moving forward. The first thing I want to hear Jackson Arnold is just, confident. Y'all, I'd be cool with borderline cocky for Jackson Arnold. I feel that way because last year at Oklahoma, I have to imagine just emotionally it was a roller coaster. He subbed out against Tennessee. Subbed out's a nice way to put it. He's benched against Tennessee early on in the season when he's supposed to be the next dude in Norman, supposed to be the next savior for Oklahoma football. And it doesn't go that way early. And then he gets put back into the lineup, and you go beat Alabama, and he has a great day on the ground. It was an emotional roller coaster. I would just love to hear how Jackson Arnold is looking, feeling, throwing, operating in a confident fashion. We got to get Will Smith in here, full hitch style, and just get him just to feel himself a little bit more. Maybe we get him a couple new dance moves, get him his mojo back. I don't question if Jackson Arnold can throw a deep post. My question is, can we get him to feel good about himself in the context of this Auburn offense? That's what I want to see. The other thing I don't want to make sure is, or the other thing I want to make sure we don't hear when it comes to spring intel from Auburn, I do not want to hear that Deuce Knight is pushing Jackson Arnold for that QB1 job. Now, Deuce Knight is the future. I don't think it's unreasonable to assume that Deuce Knight could have a role in 2025, but I don't want to hear that he is giving Jackson Arnold a run for his money. I want to hear that Jackson Arnold is hooping. I want to hear that he's on point and that Deuce Knight is going to be awesome when it's his time to roll. But I'd love to hear that about Jackson Arnold because that would make me feel like the offense is going to be what you hoped it would be when Hugh Freeze got hired. That's kind of the next thing I want to hear. I want to hear the offense is dogging the defense during spring practice. I want to hear that the offense scored 30 in the first scrimmage and 40 in the next scrimmage. JD, doesn't that bode poorly for the defense? I'm not worried about the defense. I'm not. DJ Durkin's calling the thing. Feel good. Will it be the best in the SEC? Maybe, maybe not. Do you need that to win the conference? I know you need to have the offense show up more than you did last season. And so not just do I want to hear that the offense is operating at a high level, because that would mean that Cam Coleman is taking that next step. Eric Singleton, transfer wide receiver from Georgia Tech, doing just nasty things to the Auburn defense. I want to hear that the scrimmage is fairly clean. I don't want to hear about tip passes. I don't want to hear about, Jackson Arnold threw a pick, but it wasn't his fault. I just want to hear there was no turnovers. Everyone took care of the football, scored a lot of points, and vibes were awesome. Now, if that happens, you're probably also talking about what's going on in the running back room. Because Jarquez Hunter, a season ago, and really his entire career at Auburn, he jansported them in a few games. Jansported them, put the team on his back, and put him in a couple spots to potentially go finish and win the game, and it didn't happen that way, but he's no longer there. So Damari Alston, who is a tremendous back in his own respect, averaged 5 yards a carry a season ago. I want to hear that he is picking up where Jarquez Hunter left off. I want to hear that Damari Alston is looking strong. I want to hear that he's got some giddy up. I want to hear that he's the every down back. Now, if we're talking about some other backs as well, it's never a bad thing. The word stable, to quote Cato, is never a negative thing to hear out of spring practice. But I do want to hear some good things about the running back room because at the end of the day, that is still, I think, Hugh Freeze's bread and butter in the RPO side of things. Last point here, I do not want the vibes out of Auburn spring practice to be the headline. I don't. And that's not saying that the vibes can't be great and I don't still want to hear that that's a good thing and hear they're in a good place. I don't want that to be the front page of the report coming out of Auburn. Because that's never been the question for Auburn football under Hugh Freeze. The minute he got hired, I think a lot of people felt more confident. I think a lot of people felt like it was headed the right direction. But direction and vibes and all that only get you so far. And I think now, with where they're at under Hugh Freeze, going into now year 3, the expectation is to go and do something. That's not just from a fan base level. That's from an internal level as well, I believe. So if the vibes are the headline, that means that we're not talking about all the great things that a Jackson Arnold is doing, or we're not talking so much about what the Eric Singletons of that team are translating to. We're not talking about actually what's going on the football field. Because if what's going on the football field is looking as good as it's supposed to look, that's going to be the talking point. That's going to be the front page over at Auburn Live. So vibes, I'm here for. I'm okay with it, but I would much rather it'd be an on-field topic that takes up most of the oxygen, and then we can kind of infer what the vibes are like outside of that. So let me know, Instagram, Twitter, at Jody PicKell, what you want to hear at a spring practice when it comes to checking out the latest intel from our friends over at Auburn Live. Jeffrey Lee, Cole Pinkston, Justin Hokanson, just doing the Lord's work over there. So we appreciate them for that.